What's going on, everybody? My name is Going for Rogue 22, and welcome back to the Long Dark. In our last episode, we managed to hunt down that pesky moose, and I said I was going to take a short break, in order to, cure up all of our hides and everything, and I would meet you guys back when I was ready to go explore the dam. And we have done just that. As you can see, I am now kidnapping furs. I've got the whole shebang, as well as our moose hide satchel, increasing our carry weight by quite a bit. Can actually now hold up to 88 pounds before we become encumbered. And I'm just stopped by with my improvised down bedroll here in the fishing huts over by Mystery Lake in the hopes that we can get some fish here. Because I have not checked out the new fishing mechanics yet, but I have made one of the fancier looking tackles that are brand new to the game. And I'm going to try and do some fishing here. Not at all because we are out of food again. Totally not. Although we might ever so slightly be out of food again. That does not bode well. I just spent 2 hours fishing and got absolutely nothing. There we go. That's a
You're
fish.
gonna need to eat soon.
It's another fish. Now we're talking. And my line snapped. Well, that did not last as long as I'd hoped it would. I only had the foresight to bring the one line with me. So I'm going to cook up one of these. As a matter of fact, might as well cook up both of them. I actually had two purposes in cooking up this fish here. Because not only will this provide us with much needed food on our way to the dam, but I also took the time to boil some water while we were here so we'd have some fresh and ready to go. Don't have to worry about that. But it will also provide us with a little bit of lamp oil because our lantern is completely dead. It can be, it's not that it's out of order or anything, it's just completely out of fuel. So while it's not much, it is something. And it is worth noting, whenever you go fishing, we have not had the good fortune of finding one on this particular playthrough, but if you come across a jerry can, okay, I'm just trying to figure out where those wolves are, they're right over there. If you come across a jerry can in your travels, it is well worth it to bring it with you when you go fishing, because all the lamp oil that you get from harvesting the fish and everything will go directly into it, which is always quite nice. It helps to keep things organized. And as you guys may see, I may have saw when I went into my inventory anyway, I have crafted up a new survival bow, and I crafted up 2 arrows, one of which I've already managed to lose. But at the very least, this one arrow will come in handy in case we run into any unexpected surprises over the dam. Those of you who have played this game may know what I'm talking about, and for those that don't, well, you may just find out. Are there 3 of them? I don't like that. There's 3 wolves over there. Granted, they're kind of far away. There were only 2 when I was actually setting out to the fishing huts. And as you guys can imagine, it took quite a bit of prep time to get all this fur and stuff crafted. But considering that most of our resources here in Mystery Lake have been expended, I'm thinking after we hit up the dam and see what it has to offer, we're going to be making our way out of Mystery Lake and maybe, trying to take what we can with us and basing somewhere else. Especially considering our once, well-furnished trapper's cabin has been reduced to nothing but firewood. And while it is kind of a shame, since the trapper's cabin is one of, if not the warmest structure in the game, um, I've never really done much exploring outside of Mystery Lake, so I figured it would be a good time to sort of expand my horizons here. I have obviously been to other locations, but there are a fair number of regions in the game that I have not yet visited. It is worth noting, by the way, that in the time it took for all this stuff to cure, and for me to craft up all this armor, that Yogi has in fact moved back into his cave. So we can come back here if we need more bear skins later on, as it will require more hides and guts to repair this armor once it gets damaged. Which I'm hoping, excuse me, terribly sorry, I'm hoping we won't have to show that off anytime soon. However, I also am looking to gain 2 more bear skin at some point or another, because my original intent with the bear hide was to make a bearskin bedroll. Because for those of you that may not be aware, there is a trophy, a PlayStation trophy that is, that you receive for sleeping in certain fur armors in the open night with a bearskin bedroll. And it's actually quite a bit warmer than even our improvised down bedroll that we have currently. But this down bedroll is still worth having in the meantime, as it will be way more efficient than our last one was at keeping us warm. So if for whatever reason we get stuck out with no shelter, it won't be the end of the world. But I have been purposefully saving the area around the dam here in terms of scavenging until I could do so on camera, obviously. I have never looted any of the structures in Mystery Lake without you guys being around to see it. I've mostly been scavenging stuff like corpses and other wildlife off screen, just because that takes a long amount of time for that stuff to become usable. And I'm hoping beyond hope that we do not get surprised by either a yogi or a moose in this area, because both of them can spawn right here practically. I haven't checked, but it is worth noting that right outside the trapper's cabin, where we've been living this whole time, there could be a moose. We got lucky, or I suppose unlucky, considering we had to transport it a longer distance. But we were lucky that we didn't get, surprised by one coming out of our front doorstep at any point in time. But that very well could have happened. Just going to look around here and see if we can't find anything worth scavenging. In the time it has taken me to cure all those things, I actually managed to eat up the rest of the bear and the moose. That is how long it took for everything to cure and for me to craft all this crap. But I managed to hunt down a couple of deer in the meantime, so we do have a little bit of food back at base. I just did not have the foresight to bring enough with me for the intended trip. But we will likely find plenty of food at the dam itself. In the meantime, I'm just going to quickly search these 2 houses for anything good. And if you're wondering how my skills are looking after all this time, my carcass harvesting is level 4, cooking is nearly level 4, and now that it's level 3, we actually have access to a lot more recipes. Fire starting is now level 3, meaning that tinder is now optional for starting fires, although I believe it will be a lot slower without it. And since I have not found any bullets, my firearm skill has only increased a little bit, because I was cleaning my rifle and making sure it was in good condition. And nothing else has really gone up aside from mending from all of the crafting and everything I had to do. So, just general kinds of things that would be required of base maintenance and things of the sort. Base maintenance and Mackenzie maintenance, as it were. For those of you who don't know, when I say Mackenzie, that is the name of the male protagonist in The Long Dark. I believe he is William Mackenzie, and the female protagonist is Astrid. So, it occurs to me now that I had never mentioned that, and I just kind of went with the assumption that most of you wouldn't probably know that, but that may not be common knowledge. We actually just found a can of stump remover there, which, from my understanding, plays a part in creating gunpowder.
I could use this.
And obviously, we've been picking up our spent shells and everything. every time we fire a shot with a rifle. And with that, essentially, I don't actually need that anymore, but I'll take it with the cloth. Um, I'm going to be honest, I got so distracted that I forgot what I was saying. Alright, gunpowder. Um, we can use those spent shells in combination with a can of gunpowder and some bullets crafted from scrap lead. Uh, Once we find an ammunition workbench to recraft some of our spent ammo. However, there's a skill tied to it, and I'm hoping we find some magazines for it because I had a book to increase it and just kind of was forced to use it for fuel back when we got through that rough patch on the way back from the Outlook. So we've searched pretty much everything there's to offer out here. I believe we had searched the actual truck on the very first day since we spawned right underneath that train bridge down there. But now it's finally time to enter the dam. And I always like to close the door behind us just in case there's a wolf in the area, because you never know, they could surprise us on our way out of the dam. Sounds like there's a corpse over here. It's probably just that deer carcass down there, though. Sure seems to be. And I've actually learned something since this update released. This dam actually serves as one of the various points from which you can leave Mystery Lake and go to other regions of Great Bear Island. However, I was always under the impression that once you left through the dam, you could not get back in. I thought it was purely a one-way trip and you'd have to find the long way around to get back to Mystery Lake. But that is not the case. And I'm actually going to be showcasing that if we are going to have to go out that way. But there are a number of things we're going to be on the lookout for here in the dam. One of which is a not-so-pleasant surprise. You all will see what I mean if it comes to that. Going to crouch immediately. I might as well drop the mysterious act now. Ooh, there's a storm. I should equip that. There could be a wolf in here, and his name is Fluffy. And Fluffy, like most wolves, kind of wants to eat you. Now I do have one arrow, so if we do come across Fluffy, I can hopefully put him down. But if I'm a little slow on the uptake, it could be bad. Considering we're in such a tight enclosed area, there's not a lot of places we could hide or run from Fluffy. It's actually really good that we found that second lantern, because that gives us a little bit of light to search by, since it has obviously it has more fuel in it. Unfortunately, the clothing that we're wearing is so bulky because of
There's got to be something useful in
bearskin coat that we're already encumbered. So that did not last long. So much for the extra 20 pounds of carry weight, huh? However, that bearskin coat will also keep us for the most part. Stopping to listen for Fluffy. See, it sounds like Fluffy might not be here, which I am 100% okay with. I was not hoping to have to deal with Fluffy at this point in time, so that's a W in my book. Now, the dam is a very large location that can have a lot of potential stuff, including a large amount of ammo. And there's not one, not two, but I think 3 or even 4 separate rifle spawns here in the dam. And I will be checking each of them, because even though we already have a rifle, some of you may know that with the release of the DLC, the Tales from the Far Territory, of which the recent update was the 3rd part for said DLC, there are variations of various items that can be found in the game, including the rifle. That's a potato. I just found a potato in the trash, and I 100% am going to eat that potato. Yeah, I'll leave that can behind. Oh! I didn't even know you could find broken arrows in the trash. Well, we just got our arrowhead back from that arrow that I lost. Yeah, I did have 2 arrows before coming here, but I shot one at a deer a while back, and it ran off, and I may or may not have lost track of the deer. So I lost the arrow and the meat. But, well, such things do happen from time to time. Excuse me. And I'm going to be paying particular attention to the ground around here, because remember what I said early on about them really liking to hide things in little nooks and crannies? They do a lot of that here at the dam. We could potentially find another fire striker, although at this point, with our level 3 fire starting skill, we don't really need it. I mean, I guess it's nice to have, but we don't... I'm stuck with the... Okay, there we go. We don't particularly need it. And if you're all wondering, I know I can search these drawers and these file cabinets and different desks and things, but they don't tend to have a lot in them. So I'm actually going to forego searching them, because it might just be a waste of our time. Oh no, what the heck? Another broken arrow? That's pretty darn good. Now, I always search every last nook and cranny of this dam, because it seems like every time I come here, I find something else in a spot that I didn't know it could be there beforehand. I found, I think, 4 different places here in the dam where we could potentially find a revolver, which is going to be impeccably useful in terms of self-defense, since the revolver, unlike the bow and the rifle, can be hip-fired. And not only that, but assuming that a wolf is getting a little too up close and personal, if we just hip-fire a shot, regardless of whether or not it hits, the wolf will be scared away. Barring it's not like an aurora that's going on, which prevents wolves from being able to be scared away. So, considering... excuse me, I am terribly sorry. Considering the ammunition is very abundant, it's definitely something that we are going to end up wanting. And, worst comes to worst, we could potentially use it for hunting. Although that's not really the most efficient thing in the world. I don't want to carry all of this clothing, in all honesty. There's a lot of it takes up a lot of carry weight. This right over here underneath this desk, I believe, is where I found it. I found a revolver on one of my recent runs. So even up here, where you wouldn't expect to find much of anything, you can find some pretty good stuff. And I am hoping to find, you know, maybe, I don't really know exactly what I'm hoping to find from here, but a revolver is certainly one of them. High up on the list of things that I would be wanting.
Wonder who owns this stuff.
On top of that, just general ammunition. Considering that will make our hunting life so much easier. Already found 1 bullet, which is 1 bullet more than we had when we got here. And we found 2 whole broken arrows, which is just fantastic. But unfortunately, I would be needing to find more birch saplings and cure them before I can get the arrow shafts to craft any more than 1. Since 1 cured birch sapling equates to
this could be really useful.
To 3 arrow shafts. Now, we are going to be going down here, back down from whence we came. But first we're going to check the level above here to see if there's anything lying around on the stairwell. And our second lantern here, it seems to be running out of fuel. Thankfully, we did find an actual 3rd one to use, so we're getting very lucky in that regard. Somehow we still have not found a jerry can, which is No, not exactly what we would have hoped for, but there are a couple of more locations here where there could potentially be one. And coming through into this chamber here, always check under this table because there could be a fire striker. There will be a first aid kit here in the doorway, which could
Someone's
potentially have
stash.
some good stuff. There could also be a fire striker over here, but we're not finding much luck there. There's another rifle cartridge here. And there's just generally a bunch of really good searchable stuff up here. A replacement fuse and some lantern fuel. That is quite nice. And we do have a safe over here that we can check. I'm going to save that until after we've looted the rest of this room here. And if worse comes to worse and we do get jumped by Fluffy, I also picked up a marine
Could always use more food.
from the fishing hunt that we were in at the beginning of the episode, which is remarkably useful because not only will that scare away wolves, I believe if we make direct contact with it, it could even kill a wolf, which is mental to think about. But because of that, I'm probably going to save it for absolute emergencies. Marine flares can also be used to scare off larger wildlife, such as bears, and I believe even moose will be spooked by it, which they cannot be done by normal flares. I'm quickly going to check this safe here, and then we're going to head down below, where a lot of the better loot could potentially be. Checking the few places nearby on the way. That's a weird sound. Is Fluffy potentially here after all? Oh, and there's the combination. Let's just open this bad boy up and see what we can find. Oh, there we go. There's a book,
This'll come in handy.
a single rifle cartridge, and a thing of, or a pair of insulated boots. It's not that good, but it's not terrible. Thankfully, this third lantern has a lot more fuel on it. What the heck? Still hoping to find that jerry can so we could have a reusable source of lantern fuel in combination with things such as fishing. But for the meantime, this will do us nicely. Some painkillers here, which are actually running somewhat low on those. So I will take what I can get. And I am definitely going to be scrapping a lot of the things that we get from here before leaving, because a lot of this clothing and stuff is going to take up so much of our carry weight. And we already came in here a little overburdened to begin with. This corpse over here does have a can opener, which I believe was the third or fourth can opener we found in this entire playthrough. And now that our cooking skill has increased, is also an item that we no longer even have need of. Which is just fantastic. You always love to see that. I don't hear Fluffy. I feel like if he was here, we would have seen him by now. He would have come up to say hello, and Fluffy usually says hello with his teeth. So, we definitely don't want to come into contact with Fluffy, so I'm not going to complain. Fluffy is not the only creature that can appear inside of actual structures in this game. I believe there's 2 or 3 other wolves that can spawn in specific places. But in this area back here, below the stairwell, we could have potentially found a hunting rifle. Now, obviously, we were not in need of one, but it is worth noting that one can be here. If we come up the stairs here, we will find a locker that
Would
is
have thought to look here.
and some trail boots, which I will be leaving there in spite, well, no, I suppose we have a decent amount of cured leather back to the base. It is worth noting that cured leather will be very important to us, because whereas our Our other fur clothing requires entire pelts to get, or entire cure pelts to actually repair. The moose satchel only requires cured leather and I want to say cloth, which is remarkably cheap. And apparently the thing that I thought was going to be here is not here, which is unfortunate. But one of the rifle variants in the DLC can actually spawn right here, and we were not fortunate enough to find it on this run around, but that is okay. There are a number of other locations in which good things can spawn around here. It's always important to check out neat things like this, because you never know what you might find. But it is worth noting that coming up here, that stairwell we took is the only functioning stairwell that leads up to this level, and we did in fact find a second fire striker here, and it's in just as bad durability at the time of us finding it as our first one was, and yet that one carried us so far into the game here. So it is worth noting that even if you find it low durability, a fire striker is always nice until you had those levels up a bit. And Mackenzie here is allergic to the fact that he's quite hungry, which is a good thing we're picking up all this food then. Now I did say that the stairwell was the only way to access the second level. That's not entirely true. There is a mountaineering rope here, and while we cannot personally use it right now because we are encumbered, you can feel free to use so to get up here if you so wish. Might be a quicker way than going through all this rigmarole, but I personally like to loot everything in the dam before I even think of leaving. So by the time I get to this section of the dam, I don't have the carry capacity left to actually climb the rope. It is worth noting that even ropes that we find in stations where they're already deployed, we are able to pick up and move elsewhere. They weigh 10 pounds each, which is insanely heavy, considering everything you already have to carry. That actually weighs 2 more pounds than a freaking hunting rifle, which is just mental to me that is how much it actually weighs, but might be, you never know, might be useful. Maybe you want to carry one around with you in case you get stuck up somewhere and need a quick way down. You never know. I've never seen anything underneath this little stairwell here, but might as well double check just in case. And we're going to come back through this way to check beneath the other stairwell on this side, the one that was broken through in the middle. And in the meantime, we're going to be checking around these crates, because we could potentially find a revolver just kind of chilling here. Like I said, I found a number of different spawns for revolvers in the dam as well. And there is nothing on this side either, unfortunately. Although we did find some water and accelerant back beneath the other stairwell, so I suppose it wasn't entirely a bust. There's nothing in this corner from what I can tell. Still kind of jonesing for that jerry can. And unfortunately we're having not much luck with that. But there is an entire lower section to the dam with a bunch of stuff in it as well, which we're actually heading towards right now. Now, if Fluffy was here, he would be in this main hall or traveling up there by the entrance. So no need to worry about getting jumped. If you get down here and you haven't seen anything, then you're probably good to go, as far as I know. Could be wrong. Might prove me wrong. Fluffy may just show up fairly soon, and you know, I might just be proven wrong in the worst way possible. But until that happens, I'm going to stick with what I said. Doesn't appear to be anything stuck under all this rubble. There's nothing right here. Oh, there's a piece of cloth, which we might as well take, I suppose. And now we are going to be going down into the depths of the Carter Hydro Dam to continue our looting spree. stuck in the door here is a broken arrow. I believe that that is guaranteed to be there 100% of the time. The second arrow is not, and we are getting remarkably lucky with all of these broken arrows. We are going to be in business as soon as we find ourselves, some birch saplings. We're going to have so much ammo for this bow. And it is worth noting that I did make a brand new bow as well, if I had not mentioned that already. Take this opportunity to lighten our load a bit by stuffing food into our faces. Might as well drink these sodas. That was not a smart idea because that was very low condition on that soda. The lower the condition for a item, the higher likelihood it is to give you food poisoning, so just always be careful of that. Now, let's see what we can't find around here. There's this forcible locker, which could potentially have something good.
I think I
More
can
trail
use this.
boots, combat pants, fishing tackle, hey, I'll take that. Actually, we'll be taking the combat pants since they are better than the jeans we are currently wearing. Don't really want those tools because I've got a set of simple tools back at the base. Painkillers I will be taking, however. And this is actually one of the exits from the lower dam that leads to the winding river. In fact, I believe it is the only exit, as I used to think there were two, but unless they have changed it, maybe there was always one. I know for a fact there is only one at this moment, but I recall there being a second one later on. However, if we do not find what I'm looking for here inside of the dam, I will be, taking that as our way out, because I'm going to showcase how one can get back into Mystery Lake after exiting through that way. It's worth noting that right here, underneath here, or in this general area at least, there is a potential rifle spawn, so make of that what you will. There's not one there for us, unfortunately, but since we already have a rifle, it's not the end of the world. There's some newsprint, and I have like 24 tinder plugs back at the base. I was staying some time in the camp office and chopped up everything in there as well, including all the rippable cloth and all the furniture. So we do have a fair bit of firewood and everything back at the base. So we are not in desperate need of stuff like that. And there's a second hunting knife, but with if I had things my way, we would not need to come back here for that at any point in time. I guess that depends ultimately if I'm able to find things like whetstones. Because in the process of doing all this, I've had to use up 2 of our whetstones completely, and most of our third one that we have found throughout the course of our journey here, just to keep our tools from breaking. It's just absolutely fantastic. But we could always find some more lying around here somewhere, so not to worry there. As a matter of fact, there's one right there. I'll be darned. There could be something in this cardboard box, but there's not. Some in this box, but there also is not. I believe somewhere around this location is a general spawn for which we could find a revolver, so do keep that in mind. And I am not finding nearly as much ammo as I was hoping we
Wonder
would.
if the owner's around.
So we are definitely going to be having to make our way out of Mystery Lake sooner or later. It's a good thing I'm finding all the scrap metal, because there's actually another piece of clothing that I would like to craft at some point just to show it off, and that is the improvised crampons. Crampons, for those of you that may not be aware, are accessories you can wear in the same slot as, say, an ear wrap or a satchel. that make it so that you don't get sprains if you're walking along slopes. However, you have to be very careful for their durability. There are improvised ones which you can craft and repair, and then there's also a tactical one, which now a lot of people seem to know this, but that one is also repairable, but it's only discoverable in certain locations in remote parts of the map. And those ones are not only more efficient, but they have way more durability, and just in general are a huge improvement upon the ones you're actually capable of crafting. Our other lantern is starting to die down, so I'm going to equip the fourth lantern. Because yes, we found 4 of them. I'm going to try to save up this rifle fuel, wow, this lantern fuel for as long as possible. And just try all I might to not have to use it. Now, this is one of the last places we could find a revolver. Will there be a revolver? It can be a rifle right here. There's not one, but there could be. And there are some revolver cartridges here. No revolver. This is not looking good here, folks. We are finding a fair bit of stuff, but not exactly what I had been hoping to find. Which is, you know, less than preferable, but not the end of the world. Coming up here, there's a piece of clothing on the ground, which I'm going to be leaving the heck there. Got enough carry weight to manage as is. I'm actually going to be climbing these stairs into what is effectively the final chamber of this section of the dam. And our last chance to find any potential hidden gems here. Still no jerry can, although we did find some lantern fuel. I keep wanting to say rifle fuel for some reason.
Could end up
That's a
being
flare,
useful.
an accelerant. Okay, we'll take that and more lantern fuel. I will take these quality tools, because I don't believe we have a set of those back at base. I'll also be forcing open this locker. And we found another lantern.
I could use
And a
this.
flare shell and a can opener, which I'm leaving there. And work boots, which I'm also leaving there. And a worn thin wool sweater, which I'm also leaving there. Wow. I actually have found a couple of general improvements over the last bits of clothing that we were wearing that are not made of animal fur. So I will be repairing those and harvesting anything that we do not need on us in the process before we leave here, just to try to lighten our carry load in some way. Excuse me, folks. I don't know why, but I seem to have a bit of a cough today. I apologize for that. And there is a little bit more rifle ammo that I've spotted lying around here. Definitely not as much as I had hoped to find, but it's better than nothing. Scrap metal in here, so we'll be taking with us. And back here, it would be lying against this wall if it was there, but there is a potential rifle spawn right here as well. And none of the rifle spawns here at the dam have proved fruitful to us. As you may notice, there is a lockbox there. But if you guys will recall, back in the early episodes when we were exploring Mystery Lake, we found that scrawled message and a key for a lockbox around the solo cabin in that one section of Mystery Lake. And this lockbox is actually what that key goes to. So if we open this up here and we search it, we will find 3 military-grade MREs, which are absolutely, those can come in very valuable if you are getting supremely low on food. And with that, I don't think there's much else here, potentially. There's a cooking pot, but we have 2 of those already, so I don't particularly see the need to grab another one. And a cotton toque, which I'm leaving the heck there. And I think that's really it. That doesn't appear to be a lot else here, which is very disappointing. There was a lot of good stuff, just not most of the good stuff that I would have actually wanted. But real quickly, before we go anywhere, I'm going to hunker down here for the night. I actually have to go into my inventory now to place down this bedroll, which I'm not used to. And I'm going to be harvesting all of these broken arrows first and foremost. And harvesting all of the clothing that we don't need, eating a bit of food, and sleeping through the night in an attempt to lighten our carry load. And I don't know if you folks can actually hear that, but that noise is an indicator that there's an aurora going on right now outside. And that is the sound of electrical wires elsewhere in the dam coming to life, for lack of a better word. So we actually can't leave this room right now, even if we wanted to, because we would get absolutely fried by all of that electricity. Now I'm going to harvest this aviator cap, because we already have one that we wear beneath our rabbit skin mitts here. I'm going to be wearing these combat pants and harvesting both of these pairs of jeans. And there we go, there's the actual star of the aurora. It's rather unsettling, in spite of the fact that it should be good news that the electronics are online. It certainly doesn't feel like good news. And I don't believe we've actually had the opportunity to see what outside looks like during one of these. But it is called an aurora because there is, an aurora. And all hostile wildlife will become even more hostile in the face of this aurora. So just do keep that in mind. Actually, there's a little bit of light here, so we might be able to do some repairing. But for the time being, we are very tuckered out. So I'm actually going to wait to do that until morning. I'm going to eat a little bit more of this food, drink some water. Then we are going to sleep on this improvised down bedroll to see just how effective it is at keeping us warm and stuff at night. This increases our Fahrenheit, or our temperature, by about 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Compared to a normal bedroll, which is a lot less efficient than that. I can tell you that off the top of my head. And now we actually have this opportunity to repair a lot of our stuff that we might need to repair. And I'm just going to stop by and drop a lot of this. Drop these. Hold on to those wires, because there's a couple of uses for those that we can find. We do have a lot of firewood on us, which I'd rather not have to drop if I didn't, absolutely need to. And I am now going to take this opportunity to repair any of our clothing that might be damaged. Well, where applicable, of course, because some of these things, like our handy-dandy fur clothing, we obviously cannot repair because we don't have any pelts on us. Why is this failing a bunch? Please stop. There we go. Now some of these are dreadfully damaged, but a lot of them are easily repairable, as you can see. I'll repair that one more time. I believe that is all. That is all the carry weight that we can kind of shed here. I'm going to take this opportunity to eat these pinnacle peaches. Actually, wait, no. I'm going to cancel that, because I want to make a peach pie. Now that we are cooking level 3, I can actually do that when we get back to base. Because I would like to show off some of the recipes we unlocked from my cooking level going up. I'd rather save these MREs for an emergency, if at all possible. We're actually running out of water, which is never good. And we have managed to shed a little bit of weight to where it's a lot easier to move around than it was before. Still not the easiest thing on the planet, though. And I can probably hold it back no longer. I'm going to be refueling this lantern with what little we have. And we are going to be hitting the bricks, folks. Now, we are actually going to be taking a different path back than I otherwise would have. Because we are going to be going down through here and exiting through that door that we passed on our way into here. Because there's a couple of more loot spawns we could potentially check for something good. I know I said that this trip was pretty much expended to possibilities, but there is like one, maybe two more spots I want to check. Then I'm thinking, after we check those, we start heading back to the Trapper's Cabin. And I might just let you guys go for that trip back. I'm going to drop off some of the stuff there. And then when we next pick up, I'm not going to be doing anything off screen because there's not really anything to be done. And we will be making our way out of Mystery Lake and heading for quote-unquote greener pastures. It's a winter island with no green pretty much anywhere, but, well, you know what I mean. It's a figure of speech. Really kind of blows that we did not manage to find that revolver. That is incredibly unfortunate. I'm hoping beyond hope that maybe there's one more spot that I managed to overlook. If any of you guys, happen to play this game and might know, there's something that I really would have not enjoyed missing. If any of you guys, play this game and happen to know any other spots around here where I may have overlooked one potentially, feel free to enlighten me in the comments below. But for the time being, I think we are going to skedaddle our way out of here because, holy crow, we have so much stuff to carry. And we have to go so far. I don't know if anything can actually spawn roundabouts here, but this little pathway I think is just a shortcut to not have to go around that winding path. Just double checking underneath all these to make sure I didn't miss anything that's incredibly obvious, because I tend to do that sometimes. And speaking of obvious, I believe our actual, where is it? Back up this way. Did I go too far? I might have. No, I didn't. For a minute I was thinking, thinking I passed by the door without thinking of it. But I did in fact not do that. Let me take one last desperate look around here to make sure I'm not missing anything important. Because this game really likes to hide things on you. But I think that's it. That's all that we had. That's all she wrote for the inside of the dam. And while it's not as much as I'd hoped, we did manage to find a fair bit of lantern fuel, at least enough to refuel this initial lantern, and we found a bunch of food and stuff, which we were in desperate need of. We also managed to find 6 rifle bullets, which is quite nice. This will certainly come in handy for self-defense and things of the like. But for now, we are going to be leaving the dam through this exit. And it is very cold out here. Thankfully, our fur armor is going to keep us from freezing for the most part. But really quickly, I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of neat things that could potentially be around here. I want that scrap metal. Give. Game, give. Can I even reach that? I don't think that's even reachable. It's unfortunate, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I was not expecting the weather to be this bad. It's kind of hard to tell from down in the depths of the dam there. It was kind of hard to tell the wind was kicking up like this. But this is actually one of the various paths you can take to leave Mystery Lake. Assuming you start here. I know a lot of people start here. It's generally considered to be the easiest location to begin in, from my understanding. Or one of the easier, at least. And there could be a couple of good things around here. So we'll just be taking a look.
We can make
There's a
something
replacement
of this.
fuse. We're going to be needing a couple of these, in fact, for something that we are going to be finding during our travels, because I know exactly where we are going, and we are which region we are going to after this. Now, down this path is kind of the point of no return, quote unquote. But we're not going to be going down that path. You see, instead, we're going to be coming back up here. And then over here, you'll notice there's like a break in the fence. And before you all ask, oh, why don't you just try the door? Well, I'll show you why you don't try the door. Door's locked. You can't go through it. It's a one-way exit. So you're like, oh no, guess we're stuck. Well, time to go down that way and see where it leads. Or you could shimmy your way along this ledge here. You'll notice there is a platform over on that side of the dam that we can access. Now, you have to be very careful, because if you fall down here, you're going to die. So, you know, just be very, very careful of that. But if we make our way over here, shimmying along this ledge, we will eventually find this break in the fence, which will let us back into a whole new section of the dam that we haven't even been to before. It's fascinating, and here we found a jerrycan!
Could be useful.
Holy crow, okay. There's one objective done, jerrycan acquired. That was not even part of the plan. I didn't know that could spawn there, but holy crap, we got one. Also a deer carcass here. Make of that what you will. But over here in the snow, we could potentially find it. And we didn't, but it could have been there. One of the rifle variants can also spawn right about there. And it obviously is not there, but it could have been. I think it is important to note that. There's a bunch of wood here which we can cut up for firewood if we found such a thing necessary. But hey, on the bright side, this little detour did get us a jerrycan, which I think is a win no matter how you slice it. And a little bit more scrap metal is always nice, because we're going to be needing quite a bit of that where we're going. Or at least I think we will, because I am collecting some of these materials and bringing them with us because of a thing that happens in these location, which I'm planning on going after we leave Mystery Lake. And in all honesty, it's a thing that I don't know exactly what it does. But yeah, that's pretty much the Carter Hydroelectric Dam in its entirety, explored and looted. And we found quite a bit of good shit here. Excuse my French, and again, bad habit of swearing, my apologies. But this is actually perfect timing, because we are right about at the tail end of the recording. It has gone far enough to where I have joined the recording fairly soon. So I'd say that this worked out pretty perfectly. And as you may notice, that window that we just went through brings us right back into this final chamber here. So with that being said, everyone, I'm going to let you all go here, but I'm going to be making my way back to the trapper's cabin with hopefully not as much of a just absolute like disaster occurring off camera this time like we did with the lookout. But I have been going for Rogue 22. If you enjoyed this video, please, by all means, feel free to leave a like. I will never ask you to, but it would be very much appreciated if you did. Feel free to leave any suggestions for my gameplay or commentary, uh, and any feedback in regards to that in the comment section down below. Or if you ever feel like just saying hi or starting a general friendly discussion, that's always welcome. You know, don't be shy. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe, because I do plan on making more of it. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Have a great day.